Good day, everyone. I sure miss talking with you. I hope that you're trying to catch up on those 8 hours of videos. Sorry about that, but, you know, when the cat's away, the mice will play. Chris took off, so I had nothing to do but videos, so I'm sorry about that, but have to answer your questions for you. I've got a couple of interesting things I thought I would talk to each and every one of you about, and sure appreciate you tuning in. I tell you, I'm so amazed every day. And you know, the beauty, and I've said this to you guys before, the beauty of us working as a team is just this, what I'm going to go over. And I was sent from one of you guys, I was sent this. And it just showed the beautiful way that having a group of people that know what's up, and look for those important things that are going on out there. And I want to read this. This is pretty good stuff, you know. It kind of brings to point what we're talking about, the reality of what we're talking about. Because over here you have a huge medical association that has the power of Rockefeller and the World Bank behind it, and of course you got the pharmaceutical drug lords and things like this. So you have the FDAs of the world that are totally corrupt. I won't say totally, you know, I don't mean to insult them that much, but pretty darn corrupt. You know, when you allow chemical medications on the market that kill people, knowing they have fatal events, a high percentage of fatal events, and you allow it on the market, there's no excuse for that. That would be a criminal act, in my opinion. No drug, no herb should cause death. Nothing should cause death out there. Never seen an herb cause death. Possible, and you get in some real neurotoxic herbs, but I've just never seen a death caused by botanicals. I've been 43 years teaching botanicals, so I've just never seen that. But pharmaceuticals just can't even total it. There's so many deaths. So sickening stuff. So I want to go over this with you and have some. And I've got some good questions here. I'm trying to keep up. I know I got a big stack back there, so I don't see how I'm ever going to get caught up with you guys. You guys are good. But I do appreciate your questions are getting better. They're getting right on point. They're getting good. So I really appreciate that. And I also know there's so many videos up here that it is difficult to go back and review all these videos because there's a lot of hours of videos. So those are just, go back and when you can or whatever. Just try to keep going straight forward and on down the line because there's so many of you that are having troubles and that are suffering, which sad stuff, especially the young ones. I just got through talking to a dad of a 12-year-old that's got seizures. They can't find anything wrong. They can't find lesions. They can't find tumors. They can't find anything wrong, but they want to do surgery anyway and stick some electrodes in him. I'm going, oh. They don't even consider neurotoxicities. They don't understand the adrenals. The kid's got asthma, so you know there's a connection neurologically to the adrenals, to breathing, and of course that same autonomic connection can go to up to the cerebellum, and you can get seizures. You can get all kinds of epileptic type things. You can just go on and on and on with this. But I thought I would read this to you I thought it was important, and I thought it was really, really good. And it brings a point home of what I've been talking about and what you guys know to be true now about the human body. And why it is that sometimes things aren't understood allopathically. So you're going to love this one. It's titled, it's from the newsroom, it's titled, Scientists Discover Previously Unknown Cleansing System in Brain. Now, I don't know, this was sent to us. It's got all kinds of things hooked to it, I guess. But science discover previously unknown cleansing system in brain. All right, so this is newer imaging technique brings lymphatic system to light. Lymphatic, this is a name that the medical doctors gave this new system. And you're starting to get the buzz of it, cleansing, phatic, Glym, G-L-Y-M, lymphatic system. This is dated August 15th, 2012, quite a while back, right? A previously unrecognized system that drains wastes from the brain at a rapid clip has been discovered by neuroscientists at the University of Rochester Medical Center. The findings were published online August 15th in Science Translational Medicine. This is all I know is what I'm reading here. The highly organized system acts like a series of pipes that piggyback. Now, I like the way this was written because it helps the general layperson understand. And this is what I've been saying. It is good to use common language to help people understand what's going on. This system uses pipes or vessels, you know, like blood vessels, lymph vessels, right, that you never hear about, that piggyback on the brain's blood vessels. Sort of a shadow plumbing system that seems to serve much the same function in the brain as the lymph system does in the rest of the body, to drain away waste products. Now, it's good to know that medical doctors at least are thinking about how the body gets rid of waste product. The fact that they don't understand the kidney connection or anything like that definitely puts them at odds. The fact that they tear down detoxification instead of embrace it also shows that it doesn't align with what they find, because you have waste products that have to get out of the human body. How is that accomplished? Well, it's generally thought that the body dumps them back in the blood. All these acids from all these cells are dumped back in the blood, severely compromising blood chemistry, and then taking all these acids up to the inferior vena cava and recirculating. I mean, this is just stupid stuff. So let me go on. This gets pretty good. Waste clearance is of central importance to every organ, and there have been long-standing questions about how the brain gets rid of its waste. Said, this is Niedergard, obviously Milken Niedergard, MD, DMSc, senior author of the paper and co-director of the university. We're hopeful that these findings have implications for many conditions involved in the brain. It would be if they understood detoxification. Would not be if they don't, because there's not a damn thing they can do about it. Such as traumatic brain injury, Alzheimer's disease, stroke, and Parkinson's disease, she added. Niedergard's team has dubbed the new system the Lymphatic system, G-L-Y-M-phatic system, since it acts much like the lymphatic system, but is managed by brain cells known as glial cells or glial cells. The team made the findings in mice whose brains are remarkably similar to the human brain. Scientists have known that cerebral... Now get this one. This will get you. Scientists have known that cerebral spinal fluid, or CSF, plays an important role cleansing brain tissue. That's the first time I've heard that. So now you have this vital cerebral spinal fluid that also acts as a sewer system. Scary, because that's when you see meningitis, is when you see acidosis of the cerebral spinal fluid and in the minuses of the brain. But this is now ongoing. The cerebral spinal fluid plays an important role cleansing brain tissue, carrying away waste products, and carrying nutrients to brain tissue through a process known as diffusion. Now, wait a minute. This is the same consciousness as that your blood system does the same thing lymphatically. That's not true, because you have an entire lymphatic system. Why would an entire lymphatic system have to deal with the blood? Why would an entire lymphatic system is huge? And remember, the lymphatic system in the human body is 3 to 4 times bigger than the blood system. Why would you think, or anybody would think, that the body would dump these acid waste from all these 100 trillion cells of yours into the blood, knowing that blood must be base balanced, not acid balanced? Because acid balanced blood, you got about 3 minutes and people are going to your funeral. So it's just ridiculous in that. So now suddenly the cerebral spinal fluid is carrying waste and nutrients. That's impossible not to create a chemical balance like that. It's impossible. And particularly on man's diet, it would be literally impossible to create a stable cerebral spinal fluid. You wouldn't be able to do that. The newly discovered system circulates, get this, the newly discovered system circulates cerebral spinal fluid, which is suggestive then that it's a lymph fluid and doesn't carry nutrients to every corner of the brain much more effectively through what scientists call bulk flow or convection. Interesting. That this new lymphatic system actually is an aggressive circulatory system for the cerebral spinal fluid. But wait a minute, it also aggressively picks up waste from cells. Generally, you have two systems that do this. So, again, how can in the 21st century you find a new system that was there that suddenly wasn't there before? You see what I'm saying is that you have to understand that even though this is the 21st century, ignorance in the allopathic community is extremely high, and is also in our field too. I'm not just beating them up. We're all ignorant of the true facts of everything, but you don't need to have all the true facts of everything. You all need to do is learn how to detoxify and rebuild your patients or clients, and you won't have any problems. But if you want to get scientific, there is so much confusion in the scientific world, you have to understand this. Because if you buy into these concepts, this dad's not buying into, he wants electrodes in his son's brain. He wants to fix the problem. They can't find the problem, so it's more toxicity, but it's also neural weakness. This kid's got asthma, genetic adrenals. So you already know his myelin sheaths. They don't have a way to see all this. So interesting stuff. It's as if the brain has two garbage haulers. How interesting of a paper. This sounds like a paper one of you guys wrote. A slow one that we've known about, which is your lymphatic system, and a fast one that we've just met, the glymphatic. So you have a lymphatic and a glymphatic now in the brain. Said Needlegard, given the high rate of metabolism in the brain and its exquisite sensitivity, it's not surprising its mechanisms to rid itself of waste are more specialized and extensive than previously realized. But you know that the cerebral spinal fluid wouldn't necessarily be a huge garbage dump because you have all your lymph pathways and lymph nodes out of your head. You would need to use the spinal fluid. So that's, real confusing when you have scientific papers written like this that are making suggestions that, I don't know, that don't fit with the right of things. Everything's got to fit. You can have theories, but they've got to fit with actualities because you've got serious chemistry problems here in nature that man has created by one creating all this. Look at the Ebola thing. The Ebola isn't a nature-created viral. You all know that by now, right? Oh, yeah, this is a man-made viral. Get the emerging virus. That's one good book, but I'm telling you, the Ebola is a man-made deal. Let me go on here real quick. While the previously discovered system works more like a trickle percolating cerebral spinal fluid through brain tissue, the new system is under pressure, pushing large volumes of central cerebral spinal fluid through the brain every day to carry waste away more forcefully. Interesting. The lymphatic system is like a layer of piping that surrounds the brain's existing blood vessels. The team found that glial cells called astrocytes use projections known as infeet, to form a network of conducts like capillaries, around the outsides of arteries and veins inside the brain, similar to the way a canopy of tree branches along a well-wooded street might create a sort of canopy. And this, I'll show you, an artery in the brain of a mouse. I just find this is interesting, if this is definitely true, is reported by Scientific America, Wired, and National Geographic. So I find this interesting. Now, infeet are filled with structures known as water channels or aqueous porins, which move central cerebrospinal fluid through the brain. The team found that cerebrospinal fluid is pumped into the brain along the channels that surround arteries, then washes through brain tissue before collecting in channels around the veins and draining from the brain. How has this system eluded the notice of scientists up to now? The scientists say the system operates only when it's intact and operating in the living brain. So, in other words, working on cadavers doesn't show us but half-truths, basically, making it very difficult to study for earlier scientists who could not directly visualize cerebrospinal fluid flow in a live animal. Interesting, huh? And often had to study sections of brain tissue that had already died. To study the living whole brain, the team used a technology known as photon microscopy, which allows scientists to look at the flow of blood, cerebrospinal fluid, and other substances in the brain of a living animal. How interesting is that? While a few scientists 2 or 3 decades ago hypothesized that cerebrospinal fluid flow in the brain is more extensive than has been realized, they were unable to prove it because the technology to look at the system in a living animal did not exist at the time. It's a hydraulic system, said Needlegard. Once you open it, you break the connections and it cannot be studied. We are lucky enough to have technology now that allows us to study the system intact, to see it in operation. First author, Jeffrey... That's LLIFF, PhD, a research assistant professor in the Needlegard lab, took an in-depth look at amyloid beta, the protein that, oh, now get this one. He was looking at this protein that accumulates in the brain of patients with Alzheimer's disease. Oh, now wait a minute. So now they're finding in Alzheimer's that proteins are accumulating around cells. Isn't that what we're talking about here, guys? Acidosis of the body? Absolutely, and that's just what they're referring to. But keep in mind they're using the word protein, and yet they're recommending high-protein diets. These are acids. He found that more than half the amyloid removed from the brain of a mouse under normal conditions are removed via the lymphatic system. How interesting that this lymph system removes these acids. Interesting, right? Yep. Understanding how the brain copes with waste is critical. In every organ, waste clearance is as basic an issue as how nutrients are delivered in the brain. Well, if that's true, then you allopaths should cure everything on the planet. If you understood that, and you understood that right, then you wouldn't be in the world of diseases anymore, would you? No, you wouldn't. Because you would just be using labels to identify inflammation in places. Now we use words, hepatitis, cystitis, we have all kinds, nephritis, we have all kinds of words showing the inability to remove waste products within tissues. And it's just correlating what you said here. Now, this is important, I thought. Understanding how the brain copes with waste is critical. Just remember that. But it's also critical to every organ and gland. Why? The buildup of acids in tissues is where you see the swelling. You see the obstructions. You see the breakdown of tissue happening. The suppression of hormones and steroids. This is the crux of everything we're teaching here. And these guys are just now talking about this. And they still don't get that connection. Once you get the kidney connection, how do you fix all this? You don't use pharmaceuticals. No, this is where we come in. We're the specialists for this thing. Now, it is especially interesting subject because in essentially all neurodegenerative diseases, and this would go all the way from seizures, even though there's mineral utilization problems, there's all kinds of other problems, neurotoxic problems involved in these things, but in neurodegenerative conditions, what do you see? In any degenerative condition, what do you see? Acidosis, the buildup of protein. Yet we have a society pumping proteins. And how good do you feel as soon as you stop eating proteins? You start to feel super good. You start to, all the inflammation comes out, the stiffness and the tightness comes out. But people used to beat me up because I used to say, get away from proteins. And this is just the problem here. Now, Again, it is an especially interesting subject because in essentially all neurodegenerative diseases, including Alzheimer's, protein waste, get this, protein waste accumulations and eventually suffocates and kills the neural network of the brain. And this is a medical doctor saying that. Well, he's a PhD. He's a doctorate. But he's right on. He's right on. But they just don't know how to fix it. We do, you do, and but this helps for you that are new here to understand why the allopathic community, that the higher levels of research understand some of this. The lower levels of medical doctors don't for some reason. And if they do, they've ignored it. This should be right. They should be beating our door up going, wow, this is how we move this gigantic system. You know, allopathy needs to become naturopathy, and naturopathic medicine needs to become naturopathy. Now, if the lymphatic system fails to clean the brain as it is meant to, either as a consequence of normal aging, right, or in response to brain injury, waste may become to accumulate in the brain. What about the inability to filter these wastes out of the body? You forgot to put that. See, right there, they were going down a good road, and then they made a big left. They made a big left. Because they said normal aging can cause this. There's no normal condition that causes this. Aging causes it because more time on the rock eating acid foods. More time not filtering waste. This isn't the age that has anything to do with this. All right? And they look at a brain injury or disease or something like that. That's where they take good information and they make a left with it and go, oops, they just lost it. And that's just what they did right here. This may be what is happening with amyloid deposits in Alzheimer's disease, said Dr. Da-da-da-da-da. Perhaps increasing the activity of the we could give you some chemicals to increase the activity of the lymphatic system. But just merge that with the lymph system. That'd be interesting. Now let them play with this lymph system with chemicals. That ought to be real interesting. Now, in addition to this other Dr. Needlegard's, other authors from Rochester include, and a whole list of other doctors involved here. I thought this was pretty good, didn't you? I thought this was really good to help solidify what we've been saying. That's totally a solidification of what we've been saying. And it's funny that they consider this a whole new system they haven't found yet in the brain. And what's also interesting to me is that they dubbed the cerebral spinal fluid a carrying and eliminating fluid. Nowhere in the body do you see that much. And impossible, because now you're in the antagonism of chemistry. Acids and base chemistry neutralize each other. So, on one hand, your nutrients, if your nutrients were carried in the same fluid as your acid waste, there would be total neutralization of your electrolytes. So, you wouldn't be able to get your electrolytes to your cells or to the tissues of the body, because by the time you're moving your acid waste with them, neutralization would happen. So it's impossible. You have to have two separate systems, and by God, you do have two separate systems. The lymph system is not a blood system. They come together interstitially at places. That's why you can pop a pimple and see a little blood in the pimple. But this is just interstitial fluid combining and moving back into the lymph tissue again. So real important, everything we teach here, and understanding that and how that fits into medical thinking. I thought this was really, really good. Needed a Nobel Peace Prize. Just like the fact that there's neurological type 1s, neurological diabetes. I thought that university in Canada needed a Nobel Peace Prize too. Instead, they're giving them to people like Obama and things like that. Not relative to real science and real understanding of what's going on. But as you see in this paper, they got the good, this is good understanding, waste, and yeah, but then they took a left. They need to come over to our side to understand that we already know that this is a waste product problem. We already know this is a protein/acid problem. We already know that. We've known that for how long? It's how you get rid of it that's the deal. It's how you deal with it that's the big deal, and it separates the men from the boys or the naturopaths from the MDs. Those naturopaths that know what we're talking about, at least. So I thought you guys might like that. I thought that was really, really good. Oh, let me see here. This is from Jenny. No, this is, well, this could be, I don't know, it could be my Jenny. Let's see, I'm going to read this. I don't know. It says, this to be first, please. This is on, I don't know if I'm supposed to mention this name. So I won't mention any names here. That the first name starts with J. There you go. Hi, my real name is J.N. I don't know if you want me to read this. I think Jen gave this to me. I am 24 years old. Or you should say I am 24 years young, because 24 years is not very old. I was told by my physician that I was diagnosed with eye disease since I was 10. It was damaged corneal. It's damaged. I don't know if you got that spelled right, Cornell, that I have on both sides of my eye, so-called keratoconus. I've been struggle with life ever since. I have to use impairment. I have to use impairment to see until I can no longer use glasses, contacts, lens. I struggle to do things. I am about 5'7" tall, and I'm overweight, 300 pounds. I was so severe that I did a corneal, I guess that's what he's talking about, transplants on my left eye on February 9th, 2011. I thought everything was going great, and it is cured until January of 14. I had another appointment for a transplant on my right eye. I was at the hospital ready for the surgery until they asked me to reschedule because I need the heart test and sleeping apnea test in order to proceed. Wow. You're running low blood pressure? I mean, already if you're overweight like that, the suggestion is going to go right to your kidneys and adrenal glands. And that's going to also tell me that you're really lymphatically backed up in the head. How's your sinuses going? And one of the problems here is that, you know, acidosis, just kind of connecting to what we were saying earlier, you know, acids change the nature of fluids. There's no question about it. And as fluids become more acidic, they become dehydrated. And of course, with that whole dehydration is deterioration and degeneration of the respective tissue. So also fluids become thicker and less, what's the word I'm looking for better flow. You know, they become thicker, and they don't have the proper viscosity, and so your fluids can get thicker and slow things up, staying more acidic, exacerbating the problem as we go along here. In this period of time, the corneal that was implanted into my left was rejected by my body. In order to reverse rejection, I had to use multiple eye drops, including pills. This is the list of medication I am taking: antibiotics, prednisone, acetate. Holy crap. Look at that. Prednisone, acetate. There's a whole list of them here. The pred side effect have increased my eye pressure to the maximum of 30. Holy crap. That's what I'm saying. Things like progesterone and this is more like a steroid that locks your lymph system in place. Whenever you use progesterone, not progesterone, but it's been a Monday morning for me, but any steroid that you use, it locks your lymph system in place. It's like shuts down the adrenals even more. It makes your lymph system even worse and just holds you in. That's why when you stop prednisone or anything like that, pow! Everything seems to explode on the skin and everything else. So the pressure's building from that, because this isn't, you can't treat these problems. You have to hydrate and expectorate. Because that's the only way you reduce pressure, you reduce agglomerations, you reduce this whole thing, is that you hydrate and expectorate. They're holding everything in you, bro. So everything's pressure's going up, your lymph system then will want to explode. So you've got to find a way to back down, titrate, at the same time go after your adrenal glands. You got to bring your adrenal glands up. Because if not, you're going to, build this acid, and it's an acid pressure, and that's a big problem. So he's on a lot of what looks like to me steroids here. I don't even know what some of these meds are. I'd have to look them all up. Also, I can damage my optic nerve, absolutely. And once it's damaged, nothing can help but for me to become blind. This is why you have to detox. You have to get these acids, just kind of in correlation to what we talk about with the lymphatic system, if that's what we're going to use for that name. So the lymphatic system, this is, and it all, as proteins build up, as they're alluding to here in this research paper, as proteins build up, or acids build up, hydration is lost, agglomeration, thickness, pressures, things like this develop, swellings. And there's only one pathway to remedy, and that is to start detoxing, getting your lymph system filtering, because that's the system involved. We can increase blood flow and oxygen flow to the brain cells with upper circuit brain and nerve, but you've got to move the pressure out. That doesn't remove the pressure. That can actually maybe cause more pressure. You've got to get this acid out. You've got to get all this mucus drained out of the head, my friend. Being overweight shows me your adrenals are down, and where the adrenals are down, the kidneys are down, and when the kidneys are down, the lymphatic system is down. When the lymphatic system is down, acid, protein, waste build up in the body. When this takes place, dehydration, inflammation, all of the things you see, man, cause diseases, pressures, swellings, deterioration, hypo or hyperfunction of tissues. All these things come in when acids build up in the body. And this is just waste from cells. This is, as alluded, plumbing, sewer system. I'm glad to see medical doctors using same terminology. I love that. Keep it simple for the folk. All this is true, man. So where are we going? Also, my ophthalmologist is, are there anything? Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to tell you right now. I'll help you, my friend. Matter of fact, I hope Chris can get this video up this morning, and I'll have him, I'll have Chris give this back to Jen, and we'll get a hold of you. I want to have him give this back. Give to Jen. Yeah, okay, so maybe we can get this to you, but you've got to detox. So once someone asked me something here, and I want to talk about this for a minute. Okay, this is the one, I think it is. Someone threw this at me, and I'm... Clean up your kidneys, clean up your adrenals, get lymph moving. I feel you never tell how to do that. I love your resonating in ideas. I just feel you never told how to do this. It's frustrating. You know what? And the reason, Carrie, that I've done that is because it would take me so long and be so redundant to talk about this at every time. So let's stop a minute and talk about this, because this young lad needs to move his lymph bad. And a lot of you do. And how you do it, sweetheart, Carrie, is in the videos. They're all in the videos, but I don't repeat it every time because that. So, the first order of the day in cleaning your body out and getting rid of these proteins and waste is to detoxify. Detoxification, by nature, is a fasting experience. Animals in nature generally water fast to detoxify the poisons that are building up in them. That's just nature. However, we have found that fruits, berries, and melons are the next best thing. And in some cases, because man's so toxic, it is a much better way to go. Now, in particular, the fruits and berries that are high in astringents, and most berries are already normally high in astringents. Your subacid to acids are high in astringents. And they made lemons, oranges, grapefruits. You know how they have a little bit of a pulling effect on your mucosa. So immediately, to clean your kidneys, to clean your body, and let your body clean itself, you must first change your diet to a detoxifying diet. Well, it just happens to be that a detoxifying diet is the same diet designed perfectly for the Homo sapiens species and all other primate species. It is the fruits, the berries, and, of course, the melons. These are by far the most, particularly the fruits and the berries, are at the top of the mountain for food sources, nutritional food sources for man. That's where most of the nutrition is in your berries and your fruits. Picked ripe, grown properly, picked ripe. So the first thing you do to get well is you radically move yourself to a detoxifying diet of fruits, berries, and melons. Dump the salads. If you have to have a salad a day for a few weeks, okay, do a salad at night, fruits and berries and melons all day long. All right? But then after a while, dump the salads. Go to green drinks if you have to, then get rid of the green drink because you want to detoxify. Now, detoxification is also a hydrating process. A hydrating process because detoxification deals from an acidic environment, an environment where wastes and byproducts from the cells, because there's nothing else in there, have eliminated and have been able to get rid of. This comes from a lifetime of protein foods, from generations. Because as National Geographic and myself and many others conclude, we are frugivores. We are a tropical species. Eating an omnivore or a carnivorish diet is detrimental to us big time. You can't feed all animals foods. It's like you can't feed cats fruits and you can't feed humans meats. When you do, they get sick. They don't work right. Their systems can't work right with them. For digestive reasons alone, take a look at the difference between the two digestive tracts of a carnivore, an omnivore, and a frugivore, the human. If you're going to look at them, look at my chapter in the book on the different vertebrates. It tells you right there. And I took that chapter to 2 veterinarians, one female and one male, and I said, prove me wrong. Neither one of them could. So it's real important to look at that. Now, from a botanical side, I'm into botanicals because diet and the lack of quality of foods is just, we need our botanicals. They're tissue specific. So there are herbs for the kidneys, there's herbs for the lymph, there's herbs for the liver, there's herbs for the bowels, there's herbs for everything. Herbs for the nervous system. I just took the best of the herbs way back in 30-some years ago and put them into formulas. Because I needed tools. I knew vitamins and minerals. I used those for a while. They were nothing. They were working for nothing. I realized that herbs, because I kept being told, use my herbs. So I did. And I'm telling you, it's incredible. So I have protocols set up for detoxifying with diet, which is simple. We all do that. And then we use the botanicals. You want to at least use 1 kidney formula, 1 lymphatic formula, 1 endocrine gland formula, a GI tract formula, at least the Fab 4. But if you can afford it, get up on it. We have a 14-week protocol. Get up on that. I don't care what you have. I designed it for the worst of the worst. And it'll start cleaning you, it'll deworm you, because the first thing everyone wants to do is you want to deworm yourself. That's why the first kit is a 2-week kit. It's got a kidney, a lymphatic, a liver gallbladder, a bowel, an endocrine gland, and it has 2 parasitic herbs. And we have 2 kidney formulas in there now because of the nature of what we're fighting. But we have 2 parasitic herbs in there because you want to deworm your clients. You always want to deworm people because at least half the people are full of flukes and worms and some type of parasites. Half are pretty clean. So you want to do those things. And so when you go after the kidneys, you want to clean the kidneys, you're going to go on the fruits, the berries, and the melons, and you're going to look up herbal formulas for that. It's just that I created a line of herbal products for my clinic because a lot of good herbal companies out there, Not, I feel, it's the level we are, but there's a lot of great herbal companies out there, but they don't have a focus for you. And you know, every herbalist is different in their thinking. I look at some of these formulas of Dr. Christopher's and wonder, what was he thinking? You know, but we've learned a lot more about herbs to be, you know, respectful to him, you know, and it's just the way it is. I said, Richard Schultz, you know, you need to come out with your own line, you know. But that's how you fix things. That's how you fix things. You use botanicals and use herbs. Now, I also use glandulars. You notice that? But we have some real chronic cases. And I can't help it. I'm for the human to get well. And so, you know, I'm going to use what I'm going to use. But, Carrie, is that Carrie? Yeah. Sorry, I don't say that on each one, because you see, these videos would last forever if I had to repeat this over and over again. So I'll have Chris double this, how you fix yourself, how you detox, you know, because that's, you're going to always go to the diet. Now, anything down from fruits, berries, and melons, that's how your success is going to be geared to how far off of that you can get. There are some people that have so much fungus and so much toxicity, they can't go to the fruits right off. Okay, go to the vegetables first. Go to the herbs and the vegetables. Start cleaning. Start getting yourself halfway going. Oh, good, I'm going good. Add more fruit, add more fruit, add more fruit, and pretty soon you're down that road. Some people have to take a while because they're so toxic. See what I'm saying? When you start looking at this, it becomes simplistic, and then when you read a nice little science paper like this, that's exciting. But you see, they get everything going, and then their car takes a left, and then they're lost. And this is where you guys can pick up on this valuable information and just tie it all together and fix it all in a nice little package with a nice little bow, and you're all done. So sorry about that, Carrie, but it's just really hard to tell how you fix these things on every video, because it's the same for each and every one of us. Don't get freaked out. Some medical doctor told the state, well, he treats everybody the same. I said, thank you. We're from the species. Now, when you got a case and you don't need to use a liver gallbladder formula, then you don't need to use it. I don't use formulas on people they don't need. You know, why would I do that? It's not about the money. That'll get you bad karma. So, no, this is about fixing people. So I try to give you just what you need. If I had to grab your lungs, if I add something to your protocol and you're wondering why, it's what I see in your eyes or your questionnaire that you sent me. Because I'm looking at everything that you send in. When you want me to write you up a protocol, a 14-week protocol for you specifically, I'm looking at your eyes you send me. I'm looking at your blood work you're sending me. I'm looking at your questionnaire. I'm looking at you. And I'm seeing exactly where we want to go. Now, let me see here. This is Adele. Oh, I love Adele. My aunt had breast cancer 7 years ago. She had radiation. Of course, that didn't do anything. Just damaged a lot more cells. Now it's back all over her lungs. But I tell you something, guys. Let me just read this again, because this is classic. This is commonplace. This is pretty much the route that it always goes. Or pretty close to always. And yet they still do it. I mean, that freaks me out. When you have that level of unconsciousness, it's one thing to have unconsciousness for a short period of time. But you have to be blind not to see this. My aunt had breast cancer 7 years ago. She had radiation. Of course, that didn't do anything. Now it's back all over her lungs. Common stuff. But she lasted 7 years. Most of the time it's within 2 or 3 now the ladies have full-blown lung cancer. Because they burnt right through. Because the lymph system that was backed up into the breasts were also backed up where? In the lungs. Why? Because this is a systemic flood. This is a systemic problem, not a breast problem. Breast cancer is not a breast problem. It's a lymphatic problem. You just notice it in the breast. But if you look through the body, you'll find your lymph system backed up all through you when you have breast cancer. It's not just in the breast. There's a concept that cancer is some type of conscious entity that moves and is going to attack you in all these places. They would love you to think that way. That'd keep you in high ignorance. And that way, oh my God, I have no remedy. This is a mean devil chasing me down the road. Not at all. This is a major fluid in the human body, as you've seen reading from the first. It's how you drain your waste products from your cells. It's no other waste products except a little parasitic problem, waste products from bacterium and stuff. All goes in the same system. According to the doctor, she doesn't have much time. According to the doctors that burned her and fried her lungs for you, or her, I think we did it pretty good. We fried them and she hadn't got much time. I mean, Jesus criminy. Still, they are trying to convince her to do chemo. You know what, amazing to me that you people don't even hear themselves. You know, doctors don't even hear themselves. You don't have much time, but, you know, still that chemo, you should do that chemo. We need the money. I need my new Lexus, my new Mercedes. Do the chemo. I mean, the only reason you would think that is that because there's no humanitarian reason that you would recommend chemo after you fried her lungs with radiation. Remember, you shoot radiation, it goes right on through your tissues and burns all the way through. All of you know that. Those that have had it, some of the men that have had it on their prostate burn their pelvic area. And of course, where do you see the cancer come back? Right where the radiation destroyed those cells, because that's what cancer is a damaged cell, and radiation damages cells. Oxymoron. Woohoo. Cuckoo. That's all I can think. I'm trying to get her not to go to chemo, but go on fruits, berries, and melons. I also wanted to start her on the tinctures. Could you please advise which ones would be good? Adele, go to that 14-week protocol, or have Gin B. If you want me to write it, I'll write it. It's the quickest way for me to do, because I can do them at night at home, is these 14-week protocols. Getting in to see me is a little hard because I'm several months backed up. But I do write protocols at night, and you just give me all this information. There's only one pathway. Get her on the fruits, the berries, and the melon now, and get her on this detox program. I use 2 kidney formulas, 2 lymphatic formulas. I'm into her lungs. I'm going to use the lung formula, the 3-lung tea, to help expectorate and pull this out. All this congestion. But you've got to get her kidneys and adrenals filtering. You got to go back and fix the breast cancer problem. That's the whole thing of this. So she's got to go back and fix why she had the breast cancer, because the same reason she got the lung cancer, with one exception, is they helped her get the lung cancer. Matter of fact, they're the ones that really set her up for it to go that far. You know, not good. So medical doctors have a big hand in her lung cancer and why she has it. They just won't admit it. So have Adele, have your aunt watch this video or whatever. I'm going to hopefully get it up today. It's not going to be a real long one. And maybe we can get her saved on there. But she wants to go immediately 100% raw. I don't care anything else. 100% raw. And I'd only do 1 salad a day here for a couple of weeks and get her totally on fruits, berries, and melons. Let's get her cleaned up here, get her kidneys filtering, and everything moving. Because again, going back to it's accumulation of waste products. But with your aunt, it's also the burn of the radiation. I mean, they know that. This is classical. I can't tell you how many breast cancer cases we've had in here that had mastectomies or whatever associated with them, had the chemo, the radiation, particularly the radiation, and now they have lung cancer. It's almost a given. It's every lung cancer that doesn't do it our way. I'm just waiting for them to come in with full-blown lung cancer. Oh, yeah. I can tell you stories that just sit here and make you cry. Of mothers with multiple kids where they do this shit too, and they know it's going to hurt them, and know it's going to kill them, and they still do it. Yeah, it shakes me off. I need a drink of water, of course. No more tea. I don't have much time left here. Let's see if this is Jarret from Toronto. Let's see here, Jarret. 6 weeks ago, I started taking GI Broom, lymphatic system 1, kidneys and bladder 1, endocrine balance, and stomach and bowels number 2. Wow. I am 46 years old, and I have compulsively, you want me to read this? Okay. I am 46 years old and have compulsively, is this for YouTube? I guess it is. Okay. I compulsively masturbated and ejaculated, smoked a lot of marijuana, and drank my fair share of rye and coke for many years. Well, hell, man, you're just having a bunch of fun. Well, I don't know. Sometimes, for males like that, you can get irritation down in the gonadals, and you got to play with the puppy more than some people. Some people have a lot of testosterone. Me, I'm on that side. I'm definitely an active male that way. A lot of marijuana. Let me see. The coke, not so good. The rye, not so good. All of my life, my less than loving father, that's too bad. Yeah, I was raised that same way, except I didn't have a father, biological father, but I had a grandfather who was a workaholic. We had farms, we had a Chrysler dealership, we had Alice Chalmers tractors, we had apartments, we had property all over the place, and guess who had to go work? I had to build fence, I can't even tell you that, and the old ways, we were watching Mountain Men last night where they were, shaping the bark off they're making this teepee from Blackfoot, and the Blackfoot said, you go ahead and make and this old man, Tom, he knows how to make Blackfoot teepees. And so that's what I had to do on posts for that we were putting in the ground and for fencing. I had to scrape the bark off of everyone. Why don't we just put up the posts with the bark on it? Why do we scrape the bark off of them for? That was a lot of work. Anyway, all my life, the less than loving father constantly belittling me and put me down, which killed my spirit. Well, listen, my friend, I can understand why you're seeking enjoyment in other places, but there's nothing more beautiful than you. I'll tell you that right now. You are the living presence of God. And I see that in every one of you, but you have to realize you're the living presence. You just were hooked up with a dad that didn't feel the love for himself. He didn't know how to have that God connection either. And for males, that's pretty typical. I'm seeing a lot more loving fathers now out there because their adrenals are a little weaker, and so they have a little more emotional component to them and stuff like that. But these old fathers in the old days, remember that one lady that was shot at Kent State? She was on the news and she had been shot and she got went to the hospital and they fixed her up and she came home and her dad said, this is a father to his daughter who was rallying at Kent State over a war that should have never been. And so here we are. That was my era, the Vietnam War. And so here she's just, saying no. And so our own National Guard, of course, shot her. And so her dad looked at her and said, they should have killed you. Her own dad said that to her. This is where the consciousness of man has been. And it's just been wallowing in pig slop. And we got to change that. And it's you guys are so important to this world. All of you YouTubers, Facebook people that are the light of God coming into this world. And that's what you have to get, Jarret. Get your light back. Get your joy back in your life, because no one is more important than you, Jarret. And you have to find go find yourself some alone time. You want your dad to give you love, your mom to give you love, your neighbor to give you love, your wife or boyfriend or whoever to give you love. Nobody. You give yourself love. God gives you love. You be the love, because you don't need anybody else. You're whole and complete within yourself. And so understand that. Quit thinking, quit desiring, get into that nowness and appreciate the ever presence of divine love. Because that's just what it is, ever-presence of divine love here, man. And give it to yourself. Can't expect your dad or mom. They just brought your body here. They didn't bring you here. They brought your body here. You were sent here and just to occupy that body, because the lessons you're here to learn, that family afforded you. So just look at them as lessons and get your love back for yourself, Jarret. Yeah, that'd be the best thing you could do. He is still alive, and I see him regularly. Maybe he needs to learn a lesson of how you can give him back love and say, Dad, this is what you're missing. You're missing how to give love because you don't love yourself enough. Because when you're secure in yourself, you don't need anything from anybody. You don't need anything. You don't need any material things. You don't need anything. You need a shelter and food and basic stuff. But you don't need all this stuff because you're whole and you feel whole. And that's why this detox and the raw brings you into this feeling good about yourself. The self-discipline that it takes builds your self-love. Fixing your thyroid and parathyroid gets rid of that I don't love myself syndrome. Getting your emotions in check, getting those adrenals up. So go with yourself that way. Every time he sees me, he naturally continues his verbal abuse. Well, how old are you? This is about time I look at my dad and say, shut your mouth. Let me tell you. You have not given me any love this life. And if you have to go by dad, go by dad. You know, nothing says you have to love your parents, and nothing says you have to stay with them all your life either. They just created a physical body for you. And mostly not for you. It was just involved in the act. So you just got to realize that these are just other souls having a physical experience, just like you are. You can't count on them for your succor because you're not of them. You are of the divine. Their physical body is of their genetics, of course. And those are fixable things. So take the role not as the meek and even if it's your dad, don't play the role. He could have been your brother in the last lifetime, or your mother in the last lifetime, or a friend in the last lifetime. Don't consider dad more powerful than you. You're your own power, my friend. Most of my life I have not wanted to live, but I have not been suicidal. Well, you need love and joy, my friend, and find it within yourself. You know, I love you, and I don't even know you, but I love you. And so you got love here on this YouTube site, and on the Facebook, you better get love on that Facebook site, because that's what we are. We are representative of the God force, and of truth, and honesty, and integrity, and love, and happiness. That's what we are here for. This planet forgot it. Your dad forgot about love, and maybe he didn't get it from his dad. Maybe he didn't even get it from your mom like he should have. You know, there's a lot of, pathways that all these things take, but it's up to each and every one of us to recognize that and to come whole again. And that's what this is for you, Jarret, to become whole again in yourself. You don't care. You know, he just supplied the sperm. But he also supplied years of being there and helping you, but he doesn't know how to give love. So don't expect it. You be the one giving love. Find your own love and happiness, and then you can love him because you realize that soul is as lost as the next soul on the planet. If he wasn't lost, he would be giving you divine love and a hug all the time. I give my sons hugs, and I tell them I love them regularly. Years ago, I used to have motivation and the drive for 18 hours a day to accomplish things. Well, you're losing your adrenals probably, man. Now I have very little to no motivation. You're probably sinking your adrenals. Find your joy. Find your joy. Go find what you love. Get on the beach. Go into mountains. Buy yourself flowers, and love and smell those flowers. Get your happiness back. Let nature love you, because nature always loves you. God always loves you. So surround nature with you. You don't need others. You don't need anyone but yourself. But when you get yourself, then you can give divine love to all creatures of God, because all are a part of you. Some are at these levels just sleeping a little bit. And your dad is sleeping. He doesn't realize. It's unawareness. Don't blame him. He's asleep as well. But this is to wake you up. You can't control his world, but you can control yours, Jarret. Okay. I can have an intention to produce a product, and when I sit at my computer to start the work, most often my spirit does not feel like it. You need to get yourself happy, my friend. And there's nothing like eating good to make you feel good, going out and doing things for yourself, doing your meditation and loving yourself. Quit thinking and desiring and chasing rainbows that don't exist, that have a half a shelf life because it's creation, birth, life, and death to it. Find things that are eternal. And that's yourself, your higher self, which is you. I would love to produce to completion to generate some money and income. I feel this may be related to low testosterone, which it could, but which would be related to low adrenal function. Right? But I just had a physical last month, and the only thing my MD mentioned was that I was low on vitamin B12, which I started taking 6 weeks ago. Well, what you're low is on your adrenals and utilization of your minerals. That's why you're low on B12. You don't want to take, you want to repair and build. So rebuild your adrenals up, my friend. Give me a copy of your blood work if you want. I'll go over it with you. But when your MD say, a little cautionary to the wind there when MDs say crap like that. 2 weeks ago, I started taking tong, which helps to boost natural testosterone. I don't know. Do you mean, I've never heard of that one. I also had 7 colonics in the last 2 months. That's enough. Get up on your detox. Try to do a couple detox kits. Detox the parasitic side out of you. Get a hold of the fungus and stuff like this. What can you recommend to pick up my spirit and get myself some motivation and drive? Thank you for all that you do. And thanks, Jarret from Toronto. Just what I said there. Get on a good diet. Get yourself up and going. Get into the adrenals. Get onto a detox. I laid that out in this one. And start detoxifying yourself. Get a picture of your eyes and see how you look. And know what you go after. Get your joy back, Jarret. I love you. And I'm sure half the YouTube people love you too, and they don't even know you. Because you're a fellow being. All right? You're a fellow God person here. In expression. You know, we're brought into families for our own maturation. For our own growth. This isn't about your dad or your mom. It's about you, Jarret. And you're the one that has to make this journey. They'll make their own journey way off. And it might be this lifetime you need to break that karma of that soul. Just give them love. And sometime you might want to sit and say, you know, you didn't give me any love, man. You need to find your own love and have a good heart-to-heart talk with him. If you can never get to that point, then ignore him and go off and go in your own world. You know, but you got to find your own joy, each and every one of you. And there's plenty of beauty here to do it with. We just have to watch the mind and emotions. Those two things control your happiness. And others. This isn't about anyone else. It's about each and every one of you. This is each and every one of your journey that you're on. Don't expect your happiness to be based upon another person's happiness, or you'll be greatly disappointed. Okay? And you know we love you all. I wanted to show you this. I've had this a long time. I don't know if I ever showed you this, but just to give you one show here. These are in the old videos, but look at this. To reduce your risk, and of course the foods you would take for cancer, right? Look at all those raw foods. Look at all those raw foods. Now, who wrote this? American Cancer Society. You won't get this anymore. I've drug this around with me lecture after lecture to show you at one time there was some thought of helping people. I love you all. Thank you so much for taking your time and viewing these videos. And here's my love to each and every one of you. May the blessings be. Thank you so much. To the next video.